it's me, Ari Bell, and welcome to my YouTube channel. And if you are new, please subscribe, and don't forget you are.
Come on over here and look on down. Now, you're looking down at a small section of a very long tunnel. This tunnel went way out to the river, which, by the way, is 400 yards north of us. Come up the Savannah River. They would park at the tunnel, at High Park. They would unload all their boxes and barrels and such, carrying them out with a wagon. It was a two-man cart through this tunnel all the way out till it reached the surface, and then men in wagons would pick that up and carry it into town. That was the only way they could get products into Savannah, because where they stuck Savannah was on such a high cliff that they couldn't reach it, believe it or not. Now, this tunnel became famous because of a dreadful disease called yellow fever. How many of you have heard of that?
Yes.
Well, yellow fever struck Savannah for the first time in 1740. So severely, it killed dozens of people. And so many were ill that they had to build a hospital. And they did build a hospital about a mile from where we are. But what they also did was they connected the tunnel to the hospital. So what they would do is if the hospital became too crowded with sick people, they'd take those extra folks through this tunnel and out on the waiting ships. And they put the people out on boats out there so they would be quarantined out there. Many of them never survived though, and they died. And when they did, their bodies came right back to the tunnel.
So it's like a secret tunnel.
It was secret, and it was also used like a morgue. They were hiding the bodies so people would not see what was really going on.
Like how many people were really dying.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, what happened though is the trouble started because even though they had taken the bodies eventually and buried them, once they had time to do it, because during the time the epidemic was raging, they didn't have enough people to do work in the cemetery. Eventually, they were able to take these folks and bury them. But the damage was done because the men working in the tunnels didn't want to go down into them anymore. They were afraid. They were superstitious. They believed that the ghosts of the dead were still down there. That the boo-hag, bad luck, you name it, that's down there. They said, we're not going down there anymore, so the city had to do something. They did when they built River Street. Have you been down on River Street?
Yes.
And when you climb down those stairs, you down those ramps, all that was hand dug out. It took them many years to do it. And eventually, once that was down there with the warehouses and the docks, this tunnel was obsolete. They didn't need it anymore. They said, good riddance, we're getting rid of it. Rip it up, we'll forget about it. Over the years, that's what they did. You know, by the 20th century, the last century, most people here in Savannah forgot this tunnel was here. But in 1962, when the Pirate House bought this old barn, the barn they're going to tear down, they're going to put a ladies' restroom back here. Well, the story is, while they were putting in the restroom one day, a plumber was walking over the old barn floor and blew falls through it down to the tunnel. Yeah, I don't know how detailed about that. But the Pirate House was delighted. They were so happy they had a new tourist attraction. They left it open where the poor guy fell through. That's not him. And they put this kiosk around it. It's the only part of the tunnel you can look down on. The rest of it has been sealed up by the city. You get a good idea from looking down there what it must have been like back then. Any questions?
How many bodies do you think were?
Well, approximately about over 220. It took 2 months. See, the disease lasted in Savannah for 2 months during the summer season, and so many people were ill, and people were dying so quickly, they had nowhere else to put them. They couldn't bury them fast enough. So to hide them from the public, that's when they went down. So claiming about 200, that's a lot of folks. That was 1/3 of the population. Now,
That's really sad.
what?
It's really
It is sad when you think about the fact of the matter is that in the end, those people didn't even get a proper burial. They were just thrown in a ditch and covered up.
Yeah.
Now, when you come over here, this is the Pirate House. This is the real place. This is where it all started. Watch your step. This is where it all started. And down there with the bar where all those smugglers and pirate.
I hope y'all really enjoyed this, and I am so excited for spooky season.